this. I will dedicate myself to this, for me, idea at the time. And as soon as I did, well, then I firmly believed. As soon as I did, it's very hard to explain, but it's just kind of like, boom, I did. And I felt just the weight of the world fall off my shoulders, a weight I didn't even know I was carrying. I was only 21 years old, just fell in love with my husband. We were engaged, and I wasn't in the pit of despair. I was on that mountaintop of happiness. And so that's what Jesus asked this man is, do you believe? Do you believe? He says, and the father's like, yeah, I believe you can heal him. I believe you can do it. And Jesus laid his hands on the boy and healed him. But it didn't happen right away. The boy had more seizures and fell on the ground, and it looked like he was actually dead. And sometimes things get worse before they get better. Even just having been on antibiotics, they do their job. And while those antibiotics are doing their job, you feel like crap. Usually diarrhea, headache, nausea, sometimes stomach cramps. So it's part of the repair work that I was also assisting in, is making sure that my body was setting up for detox and removal of all of that bacteria, right? This happens in autoimmune disease all the time. Maybe you're somebody that has to be on prescription medication, and maybe they can't find the right medication for you. There's a lot of people with like rheumatoid arthritis. I have a rheumatoid disease. There's 90 of them or something like that. I have a rheumatoid disease. I hope that I never have to be on prescription medication. Some people do, and I'm doing everything I can to keep myself away. Regardless, they are harmful to the body. The benefit has to outweigh that harm, which that's typically what everybody's goal is. But not everybody chooses restore. Not everybody chooses that type of faith in action. Not everybody has the knowledge or information or education, which is why I do what I'm doing right now. Not getting paid, sit here and encourage you and share. I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do, and to help educate people and to say, hey, this can be done. I'm going through this. I'm still going through this, but you can have improved life. So this father actually had to surrender his son. He was just told, by these Jesus's followers, his disciples, I don't think we can do this. And, but it really didn't shake his belief, and he was still willing to surrender and say, yeah, do it. I believe you can do it. And then he sat there and watched his son get worse. And that had to have been so frightening. I just can't even imagine. And it says in the Bible that he looked like a corpse. But then Jesus took him by his hand and lifted him up. There's sometimes in autoimmune disease days where you feel really, really, really bad, really bad. And you still have to stay in the moments of surrender, and you still have to trust. You have to trust the process. And in this scenario, you have to trust the support system. And this little boy had a good support system. He had his dad who brought him there and probably fought through crowds of people to get to Christ for healing. So this healing didn't come with immediate healing. It actually came with struggle. I'm looking at my notes here so I don't miss anything. It came with struggle. And another thing is Jesus did the impossible. He looked dead. The kid looked dead. And the big point of the picture that I walked away with is that the disciples were thinking about what they could do. We can't do anything about this. And Jesus is like, wow, you guys still don't get it? It's not what you can do. It's what I can do. That's what matters. And I can do anything I want to do. All things are possible. So I love that. And I try and keep that in my mind. And for me, prayer is not about action. For me, prayer is about acknowledgement to that surrender. And it's nice, I'm a mom of 3 sons. Our youngest son is still in the house. He's a freshman. And our two oldest sons are out of the house and they have families of their own, 2 kids each, right? And still, even though they're adult kids, I can see when they're going through a tough time or a transition in their life, like even expecting the second child or the first child or whatever, how they looked at us. And we said, it's going to be great. You're going to be wonderful. You're going to do fine. And you can see the relief. They recognize us as trusted authorities in their life, and they can believe what we tell them. And it actually gives them, they actually have an emotional and intellectual response to that. And I feel like that's what prayer is. That's what prayer is for me, is I'm recognizing the authorities, and I recognize that I trust him, and I take my problems to him when I just don't know what the answers are. And I trust that he will do the right thing with them. And maybe it'll be a miraculous recovery. Maybe there won't be a recovery. Maybe we'll go back to that purpose. And another Christian principle is that we all have a cross to bear. That means we're all going to be afflicted with something. And so maybe this is my cross, or one of them. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I just have my cross and that's it. We have our cross to bear, meaning I've got to go do something. And I know my purpose is helping other people. And I love helping other people. And I love seeing their load lighten. And I love seeing some burdens removed, because I do have hope in healing, and I do have hope in wellness. And I do have a firm belief that we are all called for a reason, and that you need to take action so that you can go and live that out. Go live that out. Instead of saying, well, now that I'm burdened with this, I guess this is it for me. But that's all I do, is I just sit around here and be sick. And that's an easy place to get into, because while you're going through the autoimmune journey, let's just call it, that your friends and people kind of around you because they don't understand. And you find yourself alone a lot. You might find yourself alone a lot also because you don't feel great, and I wish I could say it, but I don't say it. I see it on memes and whatever. I've never said it in real life, is, keep inviting me. I know I say no a lot, but, keep inviting that friend or family member that has an autoimmune disease and you're wondering why they just don't feel good or this or that or whatever, because it's nice to be invited. It's nice to be included. And you never know, you might have just lifted them up just by reaching out to them. I have a really great support system. My husband, my sons, our daughter-in-laws are very supportive and understanding. Pretty much everybody eats like I do. They eat definitely paleo, definitely lower carb. But there's definitely an effort to do the AIP, to where they're not putting black pepper on things and different things. And it feels really, really great. I do have one sweet friend who actually asks me, how are you? How are you feeling? What's going on? And it takes me back. I mean, I'm like, oh. And last time she said something, I was like, thank you for asking. And I ask people how they're doing every single day, multiple times a day, because number one, it's my job. I am a personal trainer and a nutrition coach. That is my job. I need to know, and people expect it from me. I expect it actually from my husband. I don't expect my kids to ask me how I'm feeling or whatever. But it is very surprising to me when a friend asks how I'm feeling. I don't know. I don't know why, if people just are confused or they don't want to talk about it, or it makes them feel uncomfortable, or maybe I just put off this energy or vibe that I don't want to talk about it, or whatever. I know for those of us in the health and fitness industry that there's this assumption that we're all doing great and we're all doing well. And I tell you what, when I absolutely looked the best, physically looked the best, I felt the worst in my entire life. And so you just never know. You can't judge that book by its cover. So I'm going to wrap this up. I encourage you to go read Mark 5:21 through 24, and also Mark 9:14 through 29. To me, and my interpretation today, it is the living word, kind of changes throughout your life, is that the woman who bled for 12 years is faith in action. She took action. She leaned into that hope, and it sustained her. She kept taking action. She had faith, and her belief in Christ, that healed her. That's pretty amazing. And 12 years and spending all of her money and all of her time and going through all the social struggles and physical struggles and spiritual struggles. That's just a beautiful picture of someone never losing faith. And then I love Mark 9:14 through 29. I love a father, a great support system, who took his boy to Christ, and he just surrendered to him and said, yeah, do it, whatever. I don't know how he was feeling when his son dropped and got worse, but to sit or to read about how even Jesus healed somebody, and it's not always immediate, and he got worse, but there was still healing. And so I just love that the Bible shows us that there isn't just one way to go to him, and there isn't just one way to be healed. And we're talking men and women and children, and it doesn't matter who you are, that you don't have to lose hope. And for me, that's because of the higher power in my life. And so I hope you have a higher power in your life too. So this was different platform for me to do today, throwing it on YouTube like this, but we'll see how it goes. And I hope you have an amazing holiday time. Christmas is literally just around the corner. It's next week. I'm looking out at blue sky and stuff in the mountains, and I hear we're going to have snow on Christmas. So that's always pretty exciting. So spend time with your loved ones, and I will see you next time, and sign up for the blog to check out the antibiotic stuff. Okay.